Hello world, welcome back to Razor RC. Just wanted to show you my Losi Tenacity race build that I've been working on the last few weeks. So I've been doing a lot of testing and tuning at the track at my local indoor high traction track, also trying different tires and stuff. But anyways, just want to show you what the actual race build looks like. So first off, there's a Losi Tenacity MT that I converted into a short course truck. Obviously, people don't race monster trucks. Short course is where it's at. So number one upgrade I did was get the Performance Kit by Losi. Definitely want to buy this. It's $99. Comes with the aluminum chassis, aluminum shocks, aluminum shock bodies, adjustable turnbuckles, sway bars. So really it's a complete kit to turn your Tenacity into a legitimate race vehicle. Second thing I did was upgrade all the electronics. So the stock servo is really slow. I'm running this Expert WR4401 BLS servo. It's waterproof. I haven't completely decided whether I want to make this a race truck or just a basher, or it's kind of a combination of both. So put in that waterproof servo, but it is very fast, has a lot of torque, and is definitely a lot better than the stock servo. In terms of the motor and ESC combination, I just grabbed a motor and ESC off of an Arma Granite 4x4 BLX. So this is the 3200 kV 4-pole motor, 540 size can, and then the 100 amp ESC up front. It's a decent combination. Definitely has way more torque and runs a lot cooler than the stock setup. So you don't really want to run the stock stuff just because it runs really hot. That stock ESC is actually pretty good, at least when it's not catching on fire. But this, just runs a lot cooler and provides plenty of torque. And I run in a Spectrum receiver that I have mated to my DX5C radio. So those are the upgrades in terms of electronics. Other upgrades I did that just kind of help out a little bit. Number one, I got some STRC captured hexes here. So these wheel hexes tend to just kind of fall off on their own if you don't get the captured ones. So the STRC ones are pretty inexpensive. They're like 10 bucks for a set of 4. They have a little set screw to lock it down onto the axle, so when you pull your wheel on and off, it doesn't pop off on its own. That was super annoying. Any other upgrades? I think that's pretty much it. If there's something else, I'll kind of mention it as I go through it. So other suggestions I recommend are actually changing the mud guards here on the side. So the stock mud guards don't have these Nerf bars, and then what happens is the body just kind of smashes in against the chassis if you get hit on the side. So something with Nerf bars is pretty much important. And you can actually buy the 10 SCTE Nerf bars from TLR. So there's actually a TLR part with Nerf bars, and they fit just fine onto the stock chassis. Now the holes for what these things mount on are a little bit larger than the stock screws. You can still use the stock screws, just be a little careful that you don't over tighten them and strip out the holes, because these are basically SAE hole parts, but they will fit just fine on your Losi Tenacity. Also, you need to get some 440 by 5/8 inch screws here, and then this matching nuts on the bottom. They're kind of these gold colored nuts. I'll put the parts in the description below so you know what to pick up. So I think that's about it. In terms of setup, I am running the sway bars front and rear. The rear sway bar you definitely want to run. Front sway bars make the truck a lot more stable, easier to drive overall. You do lose a little bit of steering if you run the front sway bars. So up front, I do recommend actually running the camber links on the upper hole if you run the sway bars, or if you take out the sway bars because you need more steering, go back down to the lower holes. It's up to you. That's kind of a tuning option. Right now I'm running sway bars. It's a little bit easier to drive, maybe not quite as much steering, but overall I do like it a little bit better. In terms of shock package, I'm running the stiff springs front and rear from the 10 SCTE. So you can pick up the front spring set and the rear spring set. So the stiffest is purple up front, and I believe it's green in the rear, green springs in the rear. And in terms of shock oil, I'm running 42.5 weight oil up front and 40 weight in the rear. If you want to be specific, it's actually Team Associated 42.5 weight and Losi 40 weight oil on the rear. There's actually a slight difference between those two brands, but 42.5, 40 seems pretty good. In terms of diff oil, I'm actually running 10K up front, 10K in the center, and 7K in the rear. I probably go down to 7, 10, 7 if I had to do it again, or maybe even 7, 7, 5, somewhere around there. The 10K in the center is quite a bit, is fairly thick. Definitely gives you more 4x4 action. A little bit harder to dry, but it does just kind of rip out of the corners a little bit better. So it's up to you, but you want to try somewhere in that range. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of setup. Oh yeah, one last tip. When you actually mount the pieces on the Performance kit, something to watch out for is that the rear bumper tends to hang down. There's kind of a lip that hangs down over the chassis, and what happens is that little lip catches on the face of jumps when you're jumping off jumps, and then it will actually catch on the jump and then cause this thing to basically forward flip in the air immediately after you jump. So you want to shave that down, make sure you get rid of that lip and that it's nice and smooth and nothing will catch. Otherwise it'll be super annoying and it'll be almost impossible to do any sort of jumps. These little hinge pin braces right here also stick out a little bit. Not a bad idea to shave those down as well. I haven't done it yet, but something I'll do the next time I service this vehicle. So I think that's about it in terms of the Losi Tenacity race build. I do like this truck. It's pretty fun overall. I actually tested back to back against a Slash and a Techno just to see how it drives, and it's definitely competitive. It's not as good as a Techno, obviously. Number one is actually the shocks themselves. They are still lower spec than the Techno shocks, even though they are all aluminum. Okay, and one last tip on the shocks here. The little bladders that are inside these shocks are pretty annoying. They don't provide a very good seal on your shocks. Something you can do to fix that is actually get these bleeder shock O-rings made by TLR. So TLR 334000, and these little O-rings basically go on the shock bodies underneath the caps rather than inside the caps like the stock bladders do. Provide a better seal overall, and I do like them a lot better than those little bladders. Those bladders really just don't fit right and don't provide a very good seal, and your shocks end up leaking. So if you have that problem, you probably want to look into getting those O-rings. I think that's pretty much it for my review. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel as always, and look for more videos soon.